Hi guys, welcome back to another video. I haven't done this type of video in a while because if you've seen my vlogs, I haven't been reading that many books because I don't really have that much motivation. There haven't been that many new books that I really want to read, and so I've been vlogging, I've been cooking, I've been playing games, and I've been enjoying my summer doing so. But last month, July, I was actually able to finish 3 books, almost 4. I was going to include that one here, but I'm probably only going to include it in the next what I read this month. So let's get to it. So the first book I read this month was Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. I actually have the book here. It's there's probably a little bit of reflex from my window because of the sun, but yeah, this is the one. My face, yeah, Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. So I have all of Ali's books. I absolutely love her books. I love the stories she puts in them. Uh, she started off by writing books about women in STEM, which I love the theme. Um, and when this one came out, I knew it was going to be her first erotic romance. And I was a little bit excited for it because all of her other books are not young adults, they're just normal adult books. And they have quite a bit of some sexual content on them, but it's nothing too extreme. So, this one being her first erotic romance, I was quite a bit excited about it. It's also with a STEM theme, and it's literally about a girl called Rue Siebert. She's an engineer, a biotech. No, not a biotech. Is it? Yeah, she's a biotech engineer working for a company called K-Line. And she's basically doing stuff in the lab, trying to create um, the life expendancy of food, like vegetables and canned foods, for it to last longer. And our second main character is called Ali Kilgore, and he and his business partners are trying to buy K-Line. This book starts off with Rue talking with her best friends. Disclaimer: her both of her best friends, one of them she's been best friends for years. The other one is actually the owner of K-Line and the person who made her start working there because she saw that she had potential. So she's talking with her best friends, or in this case, with only one of her best friends, and she's known for doing one night stands, and on that day she decides to do one because who doesn't want some sexy time, you know? And she matches with our main guy, Ellie. They don't know each other. They don't really give that much information. She knows what she wants, and she only wants sex. So they meet at a hotel. And when Ellie is getting there, he actually notices that Rue is being disturbed by another man, and he tries to save her. The whole thing evolves from there, and then we find out that he was actually her brother, the guy disturbing her. There's some family conflicts going on, some family issues, some trauma. Uh, she kind of loses a little bit of her need to have sex. But then they go upstairs into the room because he's horny as fuck because he thinks she's really cute and she thinks he's really hot. But they don't end up doing anything. She just leaves. She, if I'm not mistaken, gives him her number, and that's it. The next day, literally, Ellie shows up at her work with his business partners, and they're trying to buy K-Line. And she's totally pissed because her life work is there, and she thinks they're all scumbags. The whole story is quite a bit messy. I didn't feel like there was a lot of complete information about the main story. Uh, it was pretty much focused on the sex, and the sex wasn't even that good. Like the scenes were written really well, but I didn't feel any chemistry between them. Uh, Rue is a little bit like a sourdough bread. I don't know if this term is used in English, but we have a saying in Portuguese that literally translates like a little white bread with no taste. And that's what she is. She's very bland, and she only cares about her work. She doesn't want to create friendships with anyone. I noticed that she does get a little bit more happy and more conversational when she has a little bit of alcohol in her blood, which I think everyone reacts that way. Um, and Ali was literally talking about how whenever he saw her, his dick throbbed or twitched, and I felt very uncomfortable and secondhand embarrassment while reading this book. And because of that, I just gave it 3 stars. It's really low for me to be giving 3 stars to an Ali Hazelwood book, but that's the reality. Like, the book wasn't bad, but it wasn't what I wanted, and for that, it's 3 stars. I could say a little bit more about the book, but I feel like if you read it, you'll get the sense of it. Like, she's not weird. She just doesn't want no strings attached to anything. So yeah, there's that. Uh, the next book I read was actually Fourth Wing. I didn't really have that much motivation to read it. I didn't feel like it was going to be a book I was going to enjoy. I just knew it was fantasy and it had dragons, so I went into it thinking it was going to be an average book because I knew people had hyped it too much. And I was totally right. So Fourth Wing is a book written by Rebecca Yarros. And the first thing I want to say is, right from the start, I noticed that this book has a lot of, how should I say it, has a lot of inspiration from other books. I noticed there was a lot of Red Queen references, Ikotar, Tog, Harry Potter even, Divergent, Hunger Games, and the list goes on. And I know that books can't really be at this point that much unique, but this was straight up like copy pasting information from other books, and that was like the young kids say, a nick. So I wanna just say that it had a lot of references to other books, and that was the first thing I did not enjoy about it. And now it's a new adult dragon fantasy romance set in a military academy. Our main character is called Violet Sorringale. I actually like the name Sorringale, just rolls off the tongue really well. She's ascribed to be. She has been studying her whole life for that role, and her mother, who's a commanding officer of the Navarre School Academy, something something. The name I don't really recall the name, but that academy, she now has to enroll with other hundreds of students into this. Not students, candidates to become a dragon rider of Navarre, which is the place we're set in. This is basically against her will. She doesn't want to do it because, like I said, she has been studying her whole life to become a scribe. A scribe is basically people who are into archives, basically by like being someone working in archives, like reading books, academic papers, things like that, because her father was a scribe. But yeah, her mother just wants her to become a dragon rider because no son or daughter of her will be a scribe in her lifetime. So she's put there against her will. She has to overcome life and death circumstances quite often. And it's stated in the book she's very small and she's very fragile, and because of that it's harder for her to be a dragon rider, and dragons don't bond with people like her. And where do I even start? Like I said, I mentioned like the whole plot at this point. But there's this whole I'm not like other girls vibe going on, which just made me start not really enjoying the book. She has a chronic illness that's never mentioned in the book, like the name of it. They just mention it as this illness she got from when her mom was sick with her, and she was born with silver hair. It's not her whole hair, it's just like the tips of her hair always turn silver, which is quite cool. But since she's so fragile, she has to train harder than everyone, and she's actually able to do more than most, which is kind of weird for me. It's not you if you're fragile, it's not because you train harder that you're going to become stronger and less fragile. I'm just saying, if you have an illness, it's really hard and sometimes it's pretty draining. And she's very smart because she studied her whole life to be a scribe. I just think she can be quite dumb, and yeah, she can be quite dumb sometimes, because she has a best friend, Dane, who does some very questionable things throughout the whole book, and still then she's just like, oh, but he's Dane, he's my best friend, he would do nothing wrong, I know he loves me, because she's had a crush on him ever since they were little kids. So yeah, okay. This book is also supposedly a slow burn, and I felt nothing but too much fire going on, literally, like dragons and shit like that. But in my opinion, it wasn't a slow burn. I felt like the character that she involves herself with, which is Aiden. Little spoiler, I'll put like a spoiler tag here. She involves herself with Aiden, and I actually feel like the things between them were quite rushed. I don't know if I'm old school like that and feel like you need to actually know someone properly before starting to date them or actually fuck them. But when you're in life or death circumstances every single day, I feel like that's the standard, to just go around and fuck everyone you put your eyes on. She also bonds with the strongest dragon there is, because why wouldn't she? She's not like other girls, so obviously she's going to bond with the black dragon that no one has seen or bonded with in like 6 years or so, since the last rider of that dragon died. Uh, there was also a very predictable cliffhanger at the end, which just made me hate the book even more. Like, the book starts off really well. I'm going to say that it's not badly written. There's like 800 pages or so. The first 200 were quite nice. The next 200 were like a little bit of building for the character or itself. The last pages were quite a blur because a lot of things were happening, a lot of really weird things were happening, and I just wasn't really enjoying it that much. And the book was just not very enjoyable for me. I only think I was able to actually finish the book because I was listening to the graphic audio as I was reading the book as also, so it was easier for me to go through it, but it wasn't all that people say that it's amazing, it's wonderful, like oh my god, Zayden. Yeah, it's Zayden because he's really fucking similar to characters from Ekotar, and I'm not going to be naming names because I don't want to be crucified or shit like that. But yeah, to me, the book is between 2.5 and 3 stars because it's a love and hate relationship, and it didn't do anything for me. And finally, the last book I read was The Stolen Heir by Holly Black. I have it right here. I've shown it in vlogs. I was reading it in my vlogs. It's quite nice. I actually enjoyed this one more than the Cruel Prince one. So this is a sequel to her trilogy, The Cruel Prince. It's 8 years after the events of those books. And it's focused on Jude's little brother, Prince Oak, and also the child queen of the Court of Teeth, Surin. Yeah, that's her name, Surin. The the book, I thought the book would be actually focused on Oak, but it's actually mostly focused on Surin's like whole upbringing and story of how the events of the Cruel Prince actually connect with this one. I actually was like, okay, that's kind of cool. So we actually find out that she was raised in the human world for a few years before she was taken into the Court of Teeth. The same thing that happened to Jude happened to her. She was literally taken with her by her parents. We find out about that, and basically the events of the Cruel Prince happen, and she basically runs off into the human world and lives in the forest, hidden from everyone else. The whole thing that's happening here is Oak wants to save his dad from being taken and being imprisoned into the Court of Teeth, and so he wants to save him, but he needs someone to leverage with, so he goes to find Surin. He actually is able to befriend her again because they had met as kids. In the human world, the story is just really amazing. They then go back into the Fey world. They go into quite a few different places in there, and they're basically trying to make allies, and Oak is trying to befriend Surin more because she kind of became kind of a wild thing while living in the forest because she didn't speak with anyone for 8 years. She was able to stay hidden during that time. Like, no one could find her, not even a witch called Bogdana, which worked for her parents. Stern went through quite a lot of shit, literally. If you read The Cruel Prince, you know she literally didn't really speak much during the books, and she was being it's not really arrested, but she had a thing that would make her have to obey her parents. So after being actually free from them, she became a wild thing in the forest, trying to live her life, not really trying to not kill humans and other things that the Court of Teeth normally did. The book ends with them actually getting into the Court of Teeth, her finally talking with her mom and things like that. And they find Oak's dad, who is alive. The book ends up like that. I'm not going to say the really the final part of the book because it's actually a really cool plot twist. I felt like the book was better written than The Cruel Prince. I didn't really enjoy The Cruel Prince that much. I also feel like it was too hyped. But this one wasn't. The story was actually good and I actually enjoyed it. And I can't wait to read the second one, which I already have in my bookcase and I need to finish or start in this case. And the book to me was 3.5 stars. It was really nice. It was very enjoyable. I feel like I had a little bit of everything this month. I had romance, I had fantasy, and I had I would say a little bit of darker fantasy. I think Holly Black's books can be a little bit more in that category. Um, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. These are all the books I read. I didn't really read that much, but if you liked the video and if you like to see the little vlogs I put and the little hot takes I sometimes have about books, maybe you can subscribe or comments if you enjoyed this video or if you have any suggestions of books I can read. And that's it for the video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.